Well, I step away for a couple of days, not a lot happens, and I wind up getting to watch the rookie tournament. So, all in all, from a Knights fan perspective, I've had a pretty decent week. But given that stuff happens surrounding the Vegas Golden Knights, that means I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't recap it in some way or another. So, over the weekend, the Vegas Golden Knights rookie team underwent a de facto makeshift tournament, playing a couple of teams in the Pacific and Central divisions over the weekend, playing Arizona, LA, and Anaheim's respective rookie teams. Over the tournament, over the 3 games, they registered a 1-1-1 record, which isn't that bad given that this is the first time some of these guys have played professional hockey. And so, all in all, it's not exactly something to hang their head over. Game 1 was against Arizona, which was a 3-2 win. One of the standout players in that game was Brendan Brisson, scoring the first and third goal, basically in the most Brisson way possible. The first one was on the power play, on a one-timer, from the top of the circle. We're just going to have to rename that spot of ice, the Brisson spot, similar to how Alexander Ovechkin has his spot over on the left circle, different being Brisson's over on the right circle. He's got an elite release, and when he times up that one-timer, it will go through anyone and through the net and through the boards behind it. He hits it really, really hard, and 99 out of 100 times it's earmarked for the back of the net. So from a fan, that's a good thing to see, especially in the first game of a rookie tournament. Beyond that, there wasn't really a whole lot of storylines in the first game. Brisson's a very good player. The team kind of came together. There were a couple of penalties, but beyond that, it wasn't that bad. The second game was against the LA Kings rookie team, and that one resulted in a 5-4 shootout loss. That, of the 3 games over the course of this event, is the one that the Vegas rookies can really kind of be upset about, because they had leads of 2-0 and 4-2 and wound up making it turn into a shootout loss. One of the more ironic things being that the Golden Knights as an organization haven't scored a shootout goal since Mark Stone did against the Tampa Bay Lightning back in March, but that's neither here nor there. One of the real standout players of this game has got to be Vikman, the goalie for that game, given that he basically single-handedly killed off a 5-minute major penalty in overtime to even force that game to a shootout. So similar to Logan Thompson at the end of the year, of the regular season last year, he didn't really get a whole lot of help. No run support from his team in front of him, and he wound up trying to goalie his way out of a game. And for all intents and purposes, he did. For a rookie camp game, to take a 5-minute 4-on-3 overtime, kill it all the way off, and get all the way to the shootout is genuinely really, really impressive, especially given that I've never seen him play before, and now I know exactly what to expect. He may not be pushing for a roster spot in Henderson or even in Vegas for that matter, but that being said, he's still a very serviceable goalie, and so if he has to come up to Henderson for some reason or whatever he's going to do, regardless, he's going to put up some pretty serious numbers in whatever team he's playing for this year if he's able to remain healthy and repeat the performance that he did in Game 2 against the LA Kings. Now, the third game against the Anaheim Ducks rookie team, I didn't really watch very much of, but from my perspective, it was just a hockey game. There wasn't really a lot special. Hemmerling scored a pretty impressive goal, but beyond that, there wasn't really a whole lot going on, and it resulted in a 4-3 loss. So while we had 3 goals in that game, we gave up 4, and, to steal a line from a bad commercial, and 3 in hockey is 3, and 4 is less, or 4 is more than 3, so there's only so much that you can take away from a losing effort. One of the takeaways is we can see which players looked exceedingly good and which players were a little bit disappointing over those 3 games. Obviously, we're going to start with the positive end. Some of the players that looked really good, obviously I mentioned Vikman already, was really, really solid in goal in his one start. Even though it resulted in a shootout loss, it shouldn't have even gotten to a shootout, let alone to regulation. He made some 10 bell saves over the course of that end of regulation and into overtime. So he was definitely a very strong player. Primo was also a very strong forward. He scored a couple of goals over the course of the event, but primarily he's just a massive forward, and he's a very strong two-way player who has some very strong defensive aspects of his game. But beyond that, he was just overall pretty solid. Another strong player was Caden Korzak, who is probably one of the only players who's probably going to have a chance at cracking the NHL at the start of this year, especially with the contract uncertainty of Nick Hague, which I'll talk about later. He may have a reasonable chance of getting somewhere out of camp. And obviously, with his 2 goals in the first game, Brendan Brisson was pretty solid. Granted, we've come to expect that with his good short stint in Henderson at the end of last year and what appears to be a very strong rookie camp and now rookie tournament. There were a couple of players who were really kind of disappointing. One of them being Corcoran. He's a very talented player, but he took entirely too many penalties over the course of those 3 games, which put the Golden Knights rookies at a disadvantage way more than they should have. So there's only so much that can be done. You can only outskill your penalties to a certain point, and in the past, penalties have been a problem with our organization as a whole. So having a rookie that takes a bunch of penalties, so much so that it's reported widely, is kind of concerning. One of the players that I'm really kind of disappointed is on this list has to be Ivan Morozov. I've been tooting the horn of Morozov making the team out of camp this year, and he didn't really do very much at camp or at the rookie tournament. He's been playing a lot of professional hockey in his career coming over from the KHL, so he should have been far more dominant than he was. He was incredibly dominant in the faceoff dot, which is a good thing given that as an organization we tend to struggle with faceoffs. But that being said, he should have put up more video game-like numbers, should have put up more goals and more points overall. And he had a relatively quiet 3 games. Now, maybe he just was getting bad matchups, or maybe him on a line with Brisson just was 2 big personalities on a line together, 2 big scorers on a line, and it just didn't work out. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but just on the small sample size of 3 games, I'm relatively disappointed with what I saw. Will Nichols, the director of player development, was overall happy, as is most of the fan base, agreeing with the convention that one of the strong takeaways was the way the team was able to penalty kill. It helps that you get a lot of reps when Corcoran can't stop taking penalties, but that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is the system that the rookies employed for penalty killing was overall solid, and even with ECHL and collegiate level goalies, they were still able to keep a lot of pucks out of the net, especially when down a man, or in sometimes 2. Point being that there was a lot of positive takeaways from rookie camp. A lot of players did a really good job. A lot of players have identified what they need to work on. So from an organizational standpoint, it was a very successful weekend. Now, there are some other news in Golden Knights land. It was reported today by Elliot Friedman, everything that we had been worried about. Nolan Patrick is probably not going to play for the rest of the season. He is still dealing with the side effects of getting his head taken off by Nathan MacKinnon, who gets a $12.6 million contract extension for it. But again, that's not my circus. The Golden Age apparently has started in Vegas. The gold jerseys, as seen here, are now the official home jersey. I'm missing my Circle Las Vegas patch, so clearly I need to get on that, don't I? And the new center ice logo is really, really, really cool. If I'm not able to throw a picture of it here, definitely look it up. I saw it on the Golden Knights Twitter today. It's very bright. It's awesome. It's everything that I had hoped it would be. And when I saw the leak on the NHL 23 trailer, I was really hoping that they weren't just doing a mock-up and that it was what it was going to actually wind up being. So that's a really cool thing. Hopefully we're able to blind our opponents with a very reflective center ice dot and, continue to be one of the more interesting in-arena performances when it comes to the league's in-arena product. The really concerning headline that we still don't have a resolution on is Nick Hague is still without a contract. Training camp starts tomorrow, so I have no idea what's going to happen. I still have a theory that we don't have the cap space to sign him due to the cap rules, and because Robin Lehner and Shea Weber aren't able to go on LTIR yet, we would, incur a massive cap penalty if we signed him to his new contract. But that being said, we still have a lot of players and not a lot of cap to spend. So the odds that Nick Hague is going to be coming back seems to be decreasing by the day, which is kind of sad given that he's a very strong defenseman and he's likely to be a future face of the D-Corps. So if we lose him, that would be kind of sad. I read he needs a contract by December 1st, or else he's just out for the season. So there's a vested interest in both organization and player to get the ball rolling on these contracts. But Sinbin reported a couple of days ago that the talks seem to have gone cold. Pro Hockey Talks, same thing. Vegas Review Journal, roughly the same headline. So that's not very optimistic when it comes to him having a contract. But who knows? We might wake up tomorrow and have a contract. So that's what we've got to look forward to. And in not Vegas-related news, but tangentially Vegas-related news, owner Bill Foley apparently wants to buy a Premier League soccer team. I don't know. When I first read that headline, I read it backwards and I thought we were being sold. which, I mean, from a business perspective, with the Golden Knights being worth nearly $1 billion at this point, I'd take the money and run. But Bill clearly just wants to diversify his portfolio because he needs to buy more of Montana, I suppose. I don't know. He owns basically the majority of like Idaho and a little bit of Montana at this point, so he can afford to sell a few thousand acres and buy a soccer team. That being said, it was kind of a slow week in Knights land with regards to anything else aside from the rookie tournament. With training camp starting here pretty soon, I'm sure the headlines will come. We've got preseason later this week, which is super exciting. And before we know it, it'll be October 11th. We'll be dropping the puck at Crypto Arena. So thanks for watching. I'll keep us posted if anything happens over the course of training camp. Nick Hague ever signs his contract, I'll definitely jump on that. And maybe we'll have more predictions. And if not, then I'll catch you guys after the first preseason game with what is going to be the first of maybe 100 game breakdowns over the course of the next 7 months. So I'm excited for what we got coming next here on the channel, and I hope you guys are around. If you like what you're seeing, be sure to like it, subscribe, comment down below if you've got any thoughts. I would love to engage with some diehard fans like myself. And until next time, thanks.